Hi, good afternoon. This is Geoff Ginter, live with Real Progressives. This is an impromptu, unplanned mini show. There was a report today that completely blew my mind. It broke my heart. And it's kind of a confirmation of what so many of us know is going on. If you're watching now, please share. Please invite your friends. This is important. This is incredibly important. I'm going to preface this by saying that at the top, of this stream, if you look, I did embed a lot of information, including a suicide prevention hotline. Before I say anything, if you are having thoughts, bad thoughts about taking your own life, please take a moment, take a breath, take a beat, and just reconsider. There's a number for a national suicide prevention hotline. There are numerous local hotlines you can choose. Please choose one. For as long as there is life, there is possibilities. For as long as there is breath in your body, you have choices. You don't have to choose that one. And I know it's easy to say, and I know that you're going through horrific struggles. There's always possibilities. If you end it all, the possibilities are over. But as long as you're here, there are possibilities. So, what I wanted to talk about, what blew my mind, the CDC just released a report that stated that suicides nationally are on the rise, 30% over the last 10 years. I think it was 10 years. I just read the article not that long ago. I think it was 10 years. 30% over just about every state. Every state went up but one. Actually, I can't remember which one it was. Only one state did not have an appreciable elevation in their rate of suicide. Some of them, especially apparently clustered in the upper Midwest. Upwards of 53% increase. I think it was in North Dakota. This is a national emergency. According to this report, in 2016, 45,000 people committed suicide. And of these people that are committing suicide, over half of them are gun-related. So as I mentioned in my little blurb for this necessitates a conversation. This necessitates a very uncomfortable conversation because for all the reasons that are given for suicide, again, this report makes very clear it's not all about mental health. Mental health in this country is a travesty. Not the fact that it exists. Of course it exists. It exists everywhere. To be alive at all is to be at least at risk of suffering some type of depression, some type of mental health. It should not be a stigma. It should not be something to be ashamed of. It needs to be taken care of. But mental health is not the overarching problem with suicide. There are other factors. There's poverty. There's unemployment. There's all manner of things dealing with relationships and job-related and aspirations unfulfilled. There are all manner of reasons. So first and foremost, we have got to get a handle on the economics of what we're going through, the austerity that we go through. We have got to be able to start instituting things like a federal jobs guarantee. We can eradicate poverty. Eradicate with that one proposal. It's not going to be turning poor people into rich people, but it will be telling you that there is no way you will ever be able to fall below the poverty line if you're willing to work, if that's what you want to do. You want to have a job, you want to have a full-time job, there will be one provided. The federal government will pay for it, the local municipalities will administer it. You will be doing work that will be fulfilling, work that you will find a reason to get up in the morning to go and do. No more poverty. Eliminated. And with the expansion of social services, the expansion of Social Security, if you don't want to work because you can't, or if you don't want to work for whatever reason, there are other ways to make sure that you don't fall into poverty. Medicare for All will help us further by expanding the concept of health. Whatever your needs are, you will never have to be homeless ever again because of medical bills. You will never have to go into debt ever again because of medical bills. You will never have to worry that you're putting your burden upon yourself, upon your family, upon future generations because you had cerebral palsy, because you had some other disease that you needed to have caretakers for. You will still be able to have a fully productive life. It just needs to be financed. That's all. And if you have to finance it on the back of our debt, that creates economic uncertainty, economic austerity. You cannot count on the private sector to be able to do it for you. The private sector doesn't want to do it at all. They want money, so they will hire you only to the degree that they need to. They don't want to. They want to be able to hire as few of you as they possibly can. They want to be able to hire you for as small amounts of wages as they possibly can, with as few amount of benefits as they possibly can. That's their raison d'etre. That's why they exist. To make as much money as they can, and every dollar they give to you is money they can't have. So it has to be up to the public sector. It has to be up to government to be able to find a way to provide employment for everyone. No more poverty. Yeah, hashtag no way out. Well, we have a way out. It's called a federal jobs guarantee. It's called single-payer health care, Medicare for all, including all the mental health resources you can possibly want. This is what we have to fight for. This is what we have to live for. Under no circumstances should the richest country in the world be satisfied with the crumbs that the current oligarchy want to allow us to have. Look at all the people that have not voted because they feel dejected, because they feel worthless, because they feel that there's no way they could possibly make a difference. And if you're talking about individuals, you're right. You can't make a difference as an individual. But with 360 million of your friends, you can make the biggest difference imaginable. But you have to be able to be willing to participate in that. You have to be able to willing to take a stand. The alternatives are freaking horrific. We also have to talk about guns. For all those who think that you have the right to a gun and we should not be able to be talking about this, I'm sorry. There's a back seat right here. Sit down. Over half of the suicides are done with guns. Other people will try to poison themselves. I'm not actually going to list it here. I don't want to give anyone ideas. But the research shows that those that are willing to take their own life, although they may be thinking about it, often, when the moment comes, it is a quick decision. From the moment you decide to do it to the moment you actually commit the act. It is a very narrow window. And if we can limit the accessibility of the quick end, then you will hopefully elapse that moment into a new moment. until the moment passes. Until the moment passes and you can actually, okay, fine, you can breathe. Maybe you'll find after that moment passes that you can finally talk to someone when the horror of what you were imagining suddenly dawned upon you. Oh my God, what I almost did, what I was seriously thinking about doing, maybe I should talk to someone. But if you had the availability of a gun and you took your life in that moment, you don't have the opportunity any longer to get to the other side of that moment. As the old saying goes, when you're going through hell, keep going. If you're going through hell, that implies that there is another end. You're going through a tunnel. You can come out the other side of that. I implore you, don't stop while you're going through hell. Don't live in that moment. Do not let that be an all-encompassing thought. Do not turn around and go back. You're going through it again. Please, keep going. Go through it. It's the only way to get out of it. Truly out. And if 45,000 people that commit suicide in a given year and getting worse and worse and worse, and with the mass availability of an incredibly fast, efficient killing tool, you won't feel a thing. If that becomes readily available, it is readily available. If that continues to be readily available, then we will be responsible because we didn't do enough to stop it. But if that's the only thing we do, we won't be doing enough. We have to get a federal jobs guarantee. We have to be able to get single-payer health care. We have to be able to stop creating the circumstances under which this type of depression that leads to mental illness, if it goes untreated, can cause. It's up to us. The people in power right now don't want to change any of it. They don't care. They will get up and say, oh my God, it's horrible, people are killing themselves. They won't do anything to change it. They're the same people that keep telling us that mass shootings are the direct result of mental illness, but then they're the same ones that take away provisions that would keep guns out of the hands of the mentally ill, let alone allowing for systems to grow where we can have more mental health services. They don't care. They don't want you to be able to have these services. They don't want you to be able to rise above your station in life. %30 increase over 10 years. 45,000 people in 1 year, 2016. It wasn't that long ago. And it's getting worse. I'm assuming, Les, you mean they don't want us to live. Well, they don't want us all to die. They need to keep enough of us around to push the papers and work the machines. But anything after that, no, they don't care. They really don't. They've shown 1,000,000 times over that they don't care. Not enough to do anything about it. So the house is burning. The house is on fire, and we're all in it. No one is coming. No one is coming with water to put it out. So it's up to us. We all have to get out and vote. We all have to get out and learn about MMT. We have to learn how the macroeconomic realities operate so we will stop falling for people when they tell us that we can't afford it. So that we won't be able to tolerate any longer a politician or someone on YouTube or someone on Fox News or someone on CNN or MSNBC when they tell us that the deficit is something we need to be afraid of, and as a result, entitlement programs will have to be cut. Meanwhile, bomb sales will go through the roof. We have to learn how it works, so every time they say it, we can tell them, I understand what you're talking about. You're full of lies. You're full of shit. I'm not falling for it. I'm voting for the other guy. And you know who else is? Everyone else. Your days are done. You filled our bellies with lies, and we've had our set of it. We've had our full. Thank you very much for your disservice to this country. Ding! Next. Goodbye, Nancy Pelosi. Goodbye, Chuck Schumer. I'm not afraid of Republicans. I'm more afraid of you, smiling to our faces, telling me that you actually care when you do everything possible to do exactly the opposite. It's up to us. If we don't do it, I guarantee you, no one will. So wake up, everyone. Wake up, everyone. Please learn MMT to the best possible degree you can. Federal taxes do not fund federal spending. A self-financing entity like the federal government of the United States does not need your dollars. You know why? They created those dollars in the first place, and they can keep creating more. It's not backed by gold anymore, not since 1971. The only risk we have is inflation. And I am not afraid of inflation. You know what I am afraid of? Suicide. On the rise, 30%. Unemployment at disgustingly high levels, hidden in statistics. But if you go to the Department of Labor and you look at the actual statistics broken down, when they say it's 4.1 is the official number, don't believe them. Because that does not count the millions of people that have already dropped out and are not counted. It doesn't count the millions more that are technically counted as not unemployed because they have a part-time job, because that's all they can get. It doesn't tell you that all the employment that we do have is underemployment. They don't pay shit, and the benefits are shit. And people will still be able to give up most of their income to transportation that they can barely afford and to medical bills that they really can't afford. The economic situation in the real economy, you, me, everyone else, is for shit. And they want to tell us that everything's fine because unemployment is already at 4.1. What more do you want? They put up a nice mirror, but behind the mirror, it's a shit show. And you have to learn what that is. You have to learn it so you can teach it. You have to learn it so that you can start talking to people. So that when they come up with their objections, which are just regurgitated from mainstream media and the oligarchs, you'll be able to have the antidote to their diarrhea. You need to do this. Because everyone that you will talk to, if you don't, even if they say they want single payer, they'll cave. They'll cave for the ACA. They'll cave for the small, low-hanging fruit. And they'll pat themselves on the back for a job well done. While hundreds of thousands of people will still die because the ACA is just another word for-profit health care. But they'll go home and they'll say, good job. And they'll sit down. Don't let them. They'll fall for that because they think there's no other alternative, because they're told by people that they think they should trust. So learn MMT so that you can teach MMT. I don't care if you use the knowledge of MMT to be a conservative, to be a liberal, to be a progressive. I don't care. I mean, I do care. But at least if we can stop the lies, if we can stop the misinformation, if we can stop the untruths, we can actually have a real conversation. People are walking into schools and they're shooting their classmates. They're walking into concerts and shooting upwards of 150 people. They're going into theaters and shooting people. Yes, it's mental illness. And yes, it's also about economic austerity. It's about lack of opportunity. It's about having it up to here for 40 years. And even if you're young and doing these things, you still feel those effects through your parents. Is there an MMT for Dummies book, or where do we learn? Valerie, you come to the right place. Welcome to Real Progressives. If you go to the Real Progressives page, you will find endless amounts of videos, editorials. It will be a smorgasbord of things you will be able to look through, peruse. Go to our YouTube page as well. You'll be able to find a lot of information there. I strongly encourage everyone to look us up on Facebook, on Twitter, look us up on YouTube, but also look at other people like Deficit Alice. Wonderful. Look up Stephanie Kelton, my hero. Look up Warren Moser. Look up Ellis Winningham. Look up all these people. The information is everywhere. You simply have to go looking for it. You're very welcome. 7 Deadly Innocent Frauds, Warren Moser. Yes, that is a wonderful place to start. What is it? Stephanie Kelton with her video Angry Birds. That was the ding light going on for me. There are numerous places you can go. And again, it's videos. You just watch it again and again and again. And you can hit me up. You can private message me. You can talk to Steve Grumbine. He is amazing. Talk to Rocco Million. He's also amazing. He's great at teaching this stuff. There are numerous places you can go to get yourself educated, inoculated. And it's so important. Because if you go out into the trenches and fight for the things that we need without this information, you are vulnerable to the most heinous neoliberal bullshit. You can get infected. Modern monetary truth, as Johnny Axam puts it. Modern monetary truth is the inoculation. It will make sure that you don't fall for the lies, that you don't fall for the bullshit, that you realize that there's a whole world out there that is worth fighting for and is achievable. Like I said last night, if you do not fight for the AC for single payer, you are the reason we don't get single payer. Do not ever look to me and say, stop fighting for single payer. We need to be able to do the ACA. I say no, absolutely not. There's no reason to fight for the ACA because we can fight for single payer. If we don't get single payer, it's because you didn't fight for it. It's not because it wasn't possible. And MMT will teach you exactly why it is possible. We have a national emergency. We have a national emergency. 40 to 60% of the people are in poverty or so close to it they can taste it. What are we going to do about that? 45,000 people die every year because they don't have access to health care. What are we going to do about that? Another 220 to 440,000 die because of for-profit health care. What are we going to do about that? We've got suicides on the rise, 30%. My apologies. We got suicides on the rise by 30%. What are we going to do about that? We have a lot of problems. That's not even counting the numerous bankruptcies. That's not counting the depression, the mental health, the anguish, the unnecessary suffering as a result of all the neoliberal bullshit. Not to mention the conservative bullshit. How much suffering is enough? How much death is enough? How much is it going to take before you start taking up pitchforks? And I want to get this done before it gets violent. But I'm looking at the scene and I don't see that happening. I don't see it. I'm afraid it's going to come to open rebellion. And I abhor violence. I am not your ally if that's what you bring to the table. We have an opportunity now to deal with this peacefully but forcefully. Now is the opportunity. The outrage that we saw in 2016, we cannot let that die. We cannot let it go into complacency. Blue, no matter who, is just as bad as Donald Trump because no matter who indicates that it could be anyone and not just anyone will do. Even if we got rid of Trump and Pence and Ryan and all of those people, even if we put in the neoliberal smiling at you, telling you that he cares about you, all while he robs you blind, we still have hundreds of thousands of people that will die as a result of that system. Don't tell me that's a good trade-off. Especially when we have the tools to be able to deal with all of it right now. There are no excuses. We get it done or we die. So rise. Rise to the challenge. Rise with me. Have a voice with me. Do something. Do anything. Do everything. Be creative. Think outside the box. But it begins with learning our economic reality, because that is the number one tool that they are using to keep us down. They tell us we can't afford it, and they use that as a weapon to make sure that we don't fight for it. So job number one is learn that they're lying. Job number two is learn how they're lying. Job number three is shove it in their face and tell it to their face that they're lying. You can't do anything constructive if you don't know this yet. So learn it. We need you. I need you. My kids need you. My family needs you. So spread this message and learn MMT so we can save lives. Not just some of them. All of them. All the ones that die needlessly. All the ones that die for someone else's greed. All the ones that die so that someone else can just keep you down. It's not necessary. And we can do better. And we must. Anyway, like I said, this was impromptu. I just had to get this off my chest. Thanks for joining me. Please spread it around. I love you guys very much. Please look after each other. Look after yourselves. And if you do need to call someone, there's a number at the top of this video. Please call. For as long as you're alive, it's not too late to turn it around, whatever it happens to be. No matter how onerous the burden you feel. And I believe you. I believe it is a burden unparalleled in your life. Your worst pain is still your worst pain. Do not compare it to someone else. You have earned the right to call it the worst thing you've ever gone through. But please, reach out to someone. No matter what you think, someone loves you. No matter what you think, someone will miss you. So please call. I'll be back for my regular show on Wednesday. I love you guys. Take care of each other. Bye-bye.